Hello and welcome to Qtr Time podcast in partnership with Lovell Netball. I'm Lucy G.
And I'm Lucy P. And we're here to bring you all the netball goodness you never knew you needed.
At Qtr Time Pod, we are big advocates of being open when talking about periods. And so we're really pleased to say that our friends at Modibody have collaborated with Puma to launch a new range of active period underwear to keep you free from leaks, sweat and discharge when you work out, no matter the time of the month.
This active period underwear collection comes in 3 styles and a range of sizes, absorbencies and 2 colourways. If you're passionate about the planet, then you'll be pleased to know they are made from 82% recycled material.
As sponsors of the podcast, Modibody are delighted to offer our listeners an exclusive 15% discount on the collection at modibody.com if you use the code Qtr Modibody. You can find all the T's and C's and the code in the podcast notes.
Go check it out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Qtr Time podcast. We're another week down in the netball world. Lots going on. We've had the Legends game between Wasps and Storm, which was really, really cool to see the updates on social media. SSN, ANZ, NSL, they're all just ticking over now. You love to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Over halfway now through the NSL season, which is huge.
Crazy. So what have we got coming up on the episode today, Luce?
So firstly, we'll be recapping round 10 of the Netball Super League, including our 3-word summaries and our game of the round and player of the round. Then, I'm so excited for this one. We hear from an absolute legend of the game. It's only Rachel Dunn.
Yay!
And our topic this week is longevity, and we chat to Rachel about her incredible 20-year career so far, including her influences, building resilience, motivation, success, challenges, so much more. Really, really excited about this one.
Yeah, she's just like the nicest person. She's just so lovely. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this one. But let's get stuck into our 3-word summaries of round 10 of the Netball Super League. Take it away, Luce.
So first up on Friday, we had Bath versus Rhinos, with Bath taking the win 61-54. And for my 3-word summary, I actually said some confusing changes.
Some?
Yeah. Well, I counted at least 19 changes between the two teams in this game, sometimes with a change being made and then later on the exact reverse change being implemented. It was very confusing. You could see the impact on the game for the players with the 14 unforced errors for Rhinos. And I do think obviously it's the first year in post for these two coaches that maybe there was a little bit of adjusting to try and work out what to do, but it wasn't necessarily leaving the players out there for long enough. But I did think Bath were a lot more composed in the final quarter, and on the whole they stood up to some quite tough physicality. We also sending our best to Ali Wilshire, who went off after a huge hit from Oyosola. I think she got a warning actually after that one. And O'Hanlon also went off after a big collision, I think with one of her own teammates. But that didn't look great. Really good to see a Super League debut for Gemma Donoghue, who was a menace. I loved it. But unfortunately, the attack for Rhinos was just way too wasteful, and it cost them a chance in this game when the gap did narrow back to 4 in the final quarter. They just, couldn't execute, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally agree. Very interesting game. Saturday, 1st of April then, the only game of the day was Thunder versus Sirens, with Thunder taking another convincing win 64-51. And I've said a solid outing. I think although this was a good game, like neither side really kind of blew me away. I just thought it was a really solid effort from both teams, very stable. And I think both teams, did quite well considering that they each had some injury niggles or illnesses in each side. For Sirens, I think they really struggled to win ball in this game. They only had 5 intercepts to Thunder's 10 and only 7 deflections to Thunder's 15. But they did have a much better day at the post, only missing 4 shots from the entire game with an overall percentage of 92, which we know is an area that they often become unstuck. So really great progress for them there. I think from a Thunder perspective, they pretty much put the game to bed by half time. They won the first half by 11, and yet they still managed to win the third and the fourth quarter, despite almost emptying their bench. And they had a couple of debuts as well of their youngsters. So it's really good from them. Big shout out to 16-year-old. 16 makes me feel so old. Pippa Morgan, who, despite only playing 3 minutes, still managed to come up with a brilliant intercept in the circle. So well done to her.
Yeah, really excited to see a big future ahead for her. 6'4" in that defensive position as well. It's been a while since we've had a super tall goalkeeper. I mean, we've got Alice Harvey, 6'3", obviously Keeble, I think she's 6'4" as well. But, you know, really, really exciting prospect at just 16 years of old.
Definitely.
16 years of age. Sorry, not 16 years old. On Sunday, it was Rhinos versus Dragons, and Rhinos took the win, 55-46. And I said, Rhinos, take off. Yay! Finally, they managed to get their first win of the season. And I have to say, it is long overdue. They have been unlucky with some of their earlier games coming really close, but better late than never. This sounded like a cracking game. Besides the first and last quarter, it was even Stevens, but Rhinos had a fast start and a strong finish to take the game. Defensively, Rhinos were on fire, 13 intercepts to Dragons 4, with Oyasola getting literally half of them. And even though Dragons had double the number of deflections with 18-9, not enough of these were actually converted into possession gains. Vicky Oyasola with player of the match, the 4th player of the match in 9 games.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Talk about work rate. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, she's in great form this season, isn't she? Second game on Sunday then was Stars versus Lightning, with a massive win for Lightning, 61-41. And I've gone for my summary, mid-season slump with a question mark on the end. This was a really tough day for Stars. They had their lowest quarter score of the season in the first quarter with just 6 goals, and Lightning had doubled Stars' score at half-time, 32-16. So, I mean, that's pretty tough going into the second half of netball, knowing that they've literally doubled your score. It was really their unforced errors that let them down in this game. They had 16, which I think might actually be the highest of the season. I'll have to trawl back through the stats and have a look. But an interesting fact for Stars, in the last 2 games, they've had 4 quarters where they've only scored single digits. And prior to those 2 games, they only scored below 10. So they only scored single digits in a quarter once throughout all of the other games. So a question, I suppose, like, are teams starting to really figure them out? Are they starting to plateau? Are they having that mid-season slump? Hence my summary. So lots to think about there. But for Lightning, there was an unusually high number of missed shots in this game with 14, which is just unheard of for them. And it kind of makes the goal margin even more impressive. But with 15 turnovers to Stars 6, they just managed to create more scoring opportunities despite not being as accurate at the post.
Yeah, that's interesting what you said about Stars, because I think they sort of came out the blocks really well and everyone was kind of like, oh, hold on. And then you're right. They've had some really good results against teams below them, but haven't managed to keep it as close with the teams above them, and have been, you know, that gap has been widening in terms of the top 4 and then the sort of 5 to 10. But yeah, interesting game. On Monday, it was Mavericks versus Pulse, and the score was 65-43 in favour of Pulse. Huge win there. And I said Pulse were electric. At the start of this game, Mavs went down 8-0, and it actually took them 5 minutes and 56 seconds to score their first goal of the game.
Ouch. Yeah.
It was a defensive masterclass from the best defensive unit in the league, based on average number of goals conceded per game and our Fumi Fidoju bias. They found the route to scoring quickly. This is Pulse, of course, through Liv Cheen, and her partnership was unstoppable with Barry Neal. It was just incredible. I've loved watching them this season. And particularly Neal is having an amazing season. Cheen as well, who is also player of the match. But Neal has only missed 10 goals this season, shooting at 94% overall.
10 goals all season?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive. Well, yeah, because she had a couple of games on the bounce where she shot 100%, didn't she? So actually, yeah, that stacks up. Blimey.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Moving on to our game of the round. This week, we have gone for Mavericks versus Pulse. Although it wasn't a close scoreline, I think it's just really important to dig into what exactly it was that made Pulse so good this week and where Mavs kind of fell down. So aside from keeping Mavs to just 6 goals in the first quarter, which is actually Mavs' lowest quarter score of the season, Pulse then managed to score 24 goals in quarter 2, which is their highest number of goals in a quarter so far this season. And it's also the first time they've scored more than 20 in a quarter since round 2. So that's quite good news. Interestingly, all 3 of the occasions where Pulse have exceeded the 20 mark in a single quarter have all come in that second quarter. So potentially a strategy there to really dominate on the scoreboard before halftime and put games to bed.
Wow, I mean, that's some pretty impressive stats, and that's definitely up there with one of the highest quarter scores of the season in total from any team. So
yeah,
that's so impressive.
Yeah, and Pulse shot at 92% overall in this game compared to Mav's 78%. Pulse had over double the number of intercepts, 13-6, and over double the number of deflections with 16-7. I really loved what Sam Bird said at the end of the game about it being a supportive but competitive environment. And I just thought this is exactly what we want from our Netball Super League clubs, as it just replicates that England environment. And I think it's paying dividends because Pulse have only been defeated by one team, which is Manchester Thunder so far this year. And that hard work and that competition within the training environment is really paying off.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be very surprised if they managed to keep their squad as stacked as it is for next season. But I do think that there is something to be said about having that really, really, really strong bench, even though they probably should be starting 7 players in their own right. Because like you say, that competition creates better performances. So it's a really interesting one. But something that I noticed from this game was around the penalties and umpiring. It was really even on penalties. It was 49 to Mavs, 50 to Pulse. And I thought that was a pretty decent amount. It's enough to allow the players to contest the game, but it's not too many that they're constantly being blown and all you can notice is the whistle. There was no formal kind of game management in this game, no cautions, no warnings. And I just thought there was one point with Gary and it was just advantage after advantage after advantage. And I was just like, yes, this is brilliant because it allowed the game to flow so smoothly and so quickly. And I just thought him and Louise Travis managed this game beautifully, particularly as a local derby. It can be a little bit of a grudge match.
Yeah.
Has potential to be a bit feisty. I thought
a bit spicy. Yeah, totally agree. And this was actually the only game in round 10 with no formal game management, so no cautions or warnings in this one. But looking at Mavericks as well, it was great to see Kwashi back in the side, even though she only played the first quarter. You have to assume she's probably on managed minutes given how long she has been out with that injury. They have been unlucky with injuries, Mavs, haven't they? With obviously Kwashi not coming back until halfway through the season, Monique Mayer being ruled out for this game. I think you can see that because their results have been quite up and down. And then up the attack end, I did feel that Kira Rothwell went missing a little bit. I don't know if it was to do with being up against her old side, maybe that kind of additional pressure. She shot 6 from 7 with 5 feeds in the first half and then was replaced by Ellie Kelk in quarter 3. Kelk, not as accurate, 10 from 15, but she did obviously have more attempts. I think Rothwell is still deserving of that starting goal attack spot, but she didn't play like herself this week, in my view.
Yeah, I agree. She did just seem a little bit out of sorts, didn't she? But I think for Mavs as a whole, it's just, I don't know what the problem is, but it does persist year after year after year. And Camilla talked about that kind of mental resilience aspect after the game. And I think it is this that keeps Mavs sort of fighting for that 5th spot and below. It kind of, for me, it's what separates those top sides and their ability to execute when the pressure is on. And it just kind of feels like Mavs, they don't quite yet have the ability to either respond when teams are really bringing it to them, or to be able to really stamp their authority and put themselves ahead and then to keep going throughout the game. They're just kind of, I feel like they don't quite have that sort of mental fortitude as a squad yet. Individually, I think certain people do, but not as a squad just yet.
You see it with Pulse. Like it clicks, it works. They all know when they're in a sticky situation, they know what they need to do to get themselves out of it. But Mavs have crumbled, and that's why we've seen in recent weeks. I mean, the scoreline was Siren. They've been really disappointed, against Siren. Sorry. So yeah, there's still more work to be done, but it's still early days for Mavs. Obviously, new coach this year, new group, pretty much, and yeah,
definitely. So moving on to our player of the round. This week, we're in the shooting circle and we have gone for Sophie Kelly. Now, oh my gosh, this girl is absolutely blowing my mind. She shot 35 from 38 at 92% in this game against Rhinos. When considering that she was playing goal attack, those are absolutely mammoth numbers. And she actually scored 10 goals more than Betsy Creek in goal shooter. Not only that, she didn't even play the full game. She came on with 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. She was taken off with 6.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. So numbers like that from a goal attack with those minutes played are enormous.
What?
Right? Crazy.
Oh my goodness. I didn't
Absolutely
even realize
crazy.
that. Wowza.
I would really love to see like a map of where she takes her shots from. Like they do in SSN, they give you the accuracy and whereabouts in the circle they've been taken, because she is so confident to shoot from range. And I think it kind of makes her like a little bit impossible to mark, because as a defender, you think like, yeah, okay, I'll let her get the ball high up in the circle and then I'm going to stop her from working it to post or doing the shooter to shoot a ball. But then she just like nails it from distance, or like she'll do a step in and is on one leg and still gets it in. And she can have her flipping eyes closed, like for all she cares, like she'll still get it in.
Yeah.
But I love as well how I think she's really flexible to play with. I think she slots in well no matter what type of shooter she's paired with. So if you've got someone like a Hannah Passmore, is probably more of a holding shooter, I find that she's really creative in that playmaking out the front and playing that very typical nippy goal attack role. But then also, I think she works really well with a rotational circle, with a shooter who's slightly more happy to come out of the circle, like we often see with Creek. And no matter who she's with, she just nails it. But I am begging Bath to please do a Kadeen Corbin, Sophie Kelly circle. Because Corbin, I think, is actually better in goal shooter.
Yeah, that's a hill you love to famously die on, Luce.
Yeah, 100%.
The Corbin and goal shooter. But actually, I totally agree with you. I think, why not try it at this point? They've struggled for results. They've had a couple go their way recently, which is great and definitely showing signs of improvement. But I think you get the firepower of Corbin with the excitement of Kelly. The only potential thing is whether there would be too much movement and whether there wouldn't be enough of a hold going on. But actually, it's worth a try. Absolutely. So yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to see it a bit more.
Yeah, and it is a bit of a shorter circle as well. Like Creek gives you a bit of height, as does Passmore.
But maybe against a certain opposition, it might be worth going for. So especially now as we've got to the halfway point, so all the teams have played all the teams, and that means that, we can see going forward what defensive units are lining up and maybe where this could be successful.
Yeah, for sure. But she just absolutely blew my socks off this week. So very well deserved.
And also love Imogen Allison. Absolutely. Imogen Allison all the way. But Sophie Kelly was robbed of player of the match this week.
Oh, 1000%. Or even Jada. Like, I thought the pair of them were strong contenders. But yeah, no shade, Imo. You were great. But yeah.
I'm not sure if she's listening to the podcast, Luz. I think she's probably got better things to do.
So coming up after the break, we chat to the legend that is Rachel Dunn.
I don't know about you, Luce, but it gets to this point in the season and all I'm thinking about is getting new trainers. When you're just eyeing them up all the way through, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I love a bit of new stash, but I'm the type of person, I'll put all of these things into my basket, spend hours and hours looking around, but then I'll never actually go through with it. It just sits in my basket forevermore.
It's so true. I know, honestly, can relate. But luckily, Lovell Netball are offering a 15% discount on all first-time orders with code NETPOD15 at lovellnetball.co.uk. So you're sorted.
Yeah, and honestly, Lovell Netball is the place to go. Whatever you want, they've got absolutely everything.
Such a good range. Yeah.
So whether you're looking for trainers, you're looking for bibs, you're looking for supports, whatever you need.
Sports bras, all of that stuff.
Sports bras, exactly. They have got you covered. So don't forget, that's a 15% discount off all first-time orders with the code NETPOD15 at lovellnetball.co.uk.
Love a bit of Lovell. Oh my God.
Love a bit of Lovell.
Love a bit of Lovell. Happy shopping, guys. Well, to say it is an honour and a privilege to be joined by you, Rachel, is the understatement of the year. It is an honour to welcome you onto the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be asked. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you are an absolute legend of the game, having dedicated so many years of your life to our sport and undoubtedly one of the most beloved players in the game. My mum is a big fan, by the way, just saying. And we wanted to chat with you today to explore the secret to your incredible 20-year career and understand the different factors that have enabled you to have such incredible longevity. So to start us off, let's rewind the clock back to the very beginning. You started playing netball in year 4 at school and got your first taste of success in year 6, winning the small schools netball tournament in the Huntingdon region. You said in an interview, "It was when I went to university that netball just absorbed me and it went from there." What was it about playing netball at uni that inspired you to want to play at the top level?
I played netball since, as I said, year 4, and played it through school and did the kind of county system. But it wasn't until like the final year of sixth form when you have to make a decision about which university to go that it kind of like was factoring it all in. During the whole of secondary school, I did all sports. Athletics was kind of my biggest sport prior to university. I was a javelin thrower. So I did quite high level javelin throwing. So my university choice was based around kind of like academic subjects and the whole sporting combination, and Bath became a good fit because it was it ticked both boxes. And also county coach in Cambridgeshire did mention that the Bath had a really good netball setup. I'd just been kind of like scouted and got into the kind of talent program then, and been to my first kind of like England type camp in the summer before going to university. And it was when I arrived there, Lynn Gunson was the lead coach, and I was surrounded by a great amount of talented athletes, which I could probably reel off now and where they're at and the impact they've had on netball. And I was just surrounded by an environment, a high performance environment, immediately having arrived in Bath. Within 2 weeks, I got injured, so that doesn't help. I did my ACL.
Oh, no.
So, the first 2 weeks, I had clearly my body wasn't ready for the high performance environment, going in. And I'd say my training base prior to university was pretty poor. What I thought was training was not training. And then being part of the high performance environment of Bath really taught me what training and the training you needed, what you needed to become a high performing athlete was. Just a great environment. You're surrounded by athletes who inspire you every day. And I think that I just kind of got taken away there.
That's incredible. And obviously we know that Bath has produced so many incredible athletes who've given so much to the game. And when you were there in those early days, what do you remember, like the first training session and what that was like?
I think I was probably a bit clueless of what was going on. I arrived there in Freshers Week and was trying to get it to grips with starting university and things like that. It's probably more my second, third week in there. Of early morning training, then going to lectures, and just the intensity of it all. And as I say, I think it was in my second week that I did get a major injury, and then I think I then sat on the sidelines for the next year, and I think that was key. I was probably out of the game for about a year because I got injured, and then I needed time before the surgery, and then all the rehab. So I think probably actually that patch of time of watching and observing a high performance environment was key, and also learning that prehab is much more bearable than rehab. So arriving in that environment and then actually not being able to participate probably helped drive me as an athlete, because I couldn't do it. I was watching everyone else do it, and everyone else had started with me going out, training, performing, and I was the timer on the side of the court and doing small things and just being held back a little bit at that time. And that probably may have helped shape my career at some point, looking back on it.
And you were obviously studying as well during this time, and I don't know, there's something that's just occurred to me as you were talking there. You obviously had this experience very early on when you were 18 or something, 18, when you were at university, and you're balancing this with your studies. Did it give you a sense of the fragility of being an elite athlete and how quickly it can all be kind of taken away. And do you think that fed into why you chose to balance working alongside netball?
Possibly. I've always liked having a separate focus and just having that. Yeah, I think probably, yes. Yeah, it's a good point. Always having that backup plan, and that at any moment it could just end and you'd be on the sidelines. So I think that may have been why I've always had something along the side. Yeah, you never know when it can be taken away, and it was taken away from me at an early age. You put your body on a line, it doesn't always do what it's told or what you want it to do. Therefore, plan B is always useful. I think it took the pressure off and helped you kind of probably enjoy it more, because it kind of is 100% that you want to give everything to it. But then as an athlete, there's only a certain amount of hours you can train in the day before you are physically fatigued. So yeah, what do you do with the other time? And I get bored easily as well. So I always like to have something else. And I like having something to flip into. It helps, because sometimes, say after a game and you're frustrated or things haven't gone so well, or the other way around, you kind of could overthink it. Like the minute I step in work, I just get totally distracted by what's going on in there. And then the same, it's the flip as well. So when I leave work, I might have had a frustrating day, and on the same side, get to the training environment, and within 10 minutes again, you've forgotten about it. So I think for me, that's definitely helpful. And yeah, one, having the backup plan, but also helps me kind of like, it's helped mentally. I'm good at switching between the two, and I think it definitely helps.
And obviously that's been very clear in your very successful career to date, that you have found that really good balance, and you've had 7 Super League titles, 3 Netball World Cup bronze medals, and 2 Commonwealth Games bronze medals, and you've also had over 250 National League appearances and counting, and 92 caps for England. I mean, you truly are a stalwart of the game, as well as continuing your career as a genetic technologist. And you actually opted not to be a part of the full-time Roses program when that came in 2016. Where does your motivation to continue to play elite netball come from? And have you found that your motivations have changed at all or adapted as you got older?
They have. So the full-time program came up. So early on in my career, there wasn't the funding available to be able to do it full-time. That's a very new thing. As a younger athlete, there wasn't that option to be full-time. Like Super League didn't exist, and it wasn't a scenario where you get paid a salary, and the international funding was not like it is now. So it wasn't an option. I kind of ebbed and flowed how much I have worked and have trained, and it has varied. So I did part-time to start with, and I had a flexible job, and then decided I wanted to take the next step in my career, went full-time, tried that for a bit. Then I decided that I needed to step back a bit, so then reduced my hours at work, and I work for the NHS, and all of the managers that I've had over the years in my work have been very flexible and have allowed me to do it as well. So I wouldn't have been able to do both alongside without the manager support that I've had. And then I think when the Roses program went full time, I was in my mid-30s, and I was like, I had just taken a new job. I wanted, it was a good job opportunity. The Roses program allowed for the different pathways, so you could be a worker and still do it. So took the option to continue in my job and do the kind of working pathway. One thing I have learned over the years is the important thing is the training base that you develop at the start of your career. So those 7-8 years that I did at Bath, being in a full-time training environment, someone once described it as like a staircase, that you start here and you kind of like go up and plateau and go up and plateau, go up and plateau. And you do kind of like maintain at certain points, but unless you kind of like drop off a cliff, you can't. Maintaining is easier than actually getting up there. And so I think the key part of my career was the very start, where you lay the foundations, you do all the skill development. So
And obviously, like when you first started with Team Bath, obviously being a student, it's kind of quite clear what your motivations are. Like you say, you're starting to climb that staircase and you want to get to the best level that you can. But when you've played for as many years as you have, what has your motivation become, say in 2023? How has your motivation to play at the elite level changed from back in 2004, whatever it was that you first started, to now? How's the motivation changed?
Well, when I was younger, it was all about trying to be the best and trying to want to play for England, compete in major championships. And now, it's much more about kind of the enjoyment as well. And I quite like working with younger athletes and seeing how you can develop them, and just trying to help add some experience to a team if I can, and just if people still want me to play for them. So that's quite, it's one of these things where I just get the opportunity to do it on a part-time basis at an elite level. So I feel quite lucky that I can still do that and work.
You say people still want me to play for them with a tone of surprise.
Well,
why do you sound surprised?
Why take it year on year? I'm not getting any younger. And it's you just never know. And I think probably from mid-30s onwards, I've just been taking it a year at a time and seeing what happens. And if you get offered a contract, say you feel about it, does it work with work? Can you commit the time? Do you think you can still perform at the right level that is needed by the team? Can you still give what you need to give to perform in that environment? So I've been taking it year on year since probably about 2015. And just kind of gone with the flow a bit more. I'm quite content with what I've done in my career. I've never got to win that international gold, but I've given it the best shot, tried. Been part of some great teams, but just sometimes it's not meant to be. But I had a blaster in that. You never think you're going to kind of like have an international career, let alone play for a long period of time. So I think it's just every time you get selected for a major champs, you were just, it's a great honour, because so I got selected for the Com Games in 2006. And then just before the World Cup in 2007, I did my other ACL. So I was selected and then missed out on that. So I've kind of had injuries at certain times that kind of like, again, sitting on the sideline and watching again. And the driving factor saying you want to compete in the World Cup, you want to compete at the highest level. So I think now it's just about how's the body? Is it still okay? Just still enjoy it, and then just taking it kind of year on year. And as the years have gone, I have done less in terms of in my off season. I have a proper off season now, because I think it's kind of like the mental burden of it all as well, having to kind of like fully commit whilst trying to balance in the work on the side. You could, I couldn't do that 12 months a year anymore.
It's
I've kind of been winding down for a number of years, but I've done less and less. I think that's kind of kept me going.
I mean, but it is so intense though to be able to try and sustain that. Like I was thinking of who is it? I think it was the Welsh players, like Bethan Dyke, Ella Powell-Davies, like they've gone off of end of the season and then like World Cup qualifiers, and now then into pre-season, now into the season. It's it's just
last
constant.
Season. Yeah, they did last season, then Com Games, then World Cup qualifiers, season, World Cup.
That was it, and it's just having to sort of wrap your head and your body around that is absolutely incredible. And for you to have done it for as long as you have is truly remarkable. And you've seen such change and growth in the game, like as a sport, from the start of your career to now. And there was actually an interview that you did with the Metro where you said, and I quote, "I remember playing Super League games in front of a couple of hundred people, and now, well, I just played a Super League final at the Copper Box. It was a sellout. The crowd was amazing, and there was full TV coverage. It's a whole different world, and the progress we've made is incredible." So can you talk us through what it's been like to experience such monumental growth and change in your playing career?
Well, I'm kind of privileged to be able to be part of it, because at the start was the start of Super League and what happened there, and the excitement around the first. I think I got to play in the first game actually with Bath v Loughborough, and the excitement around the fact that it was TV coverage, it was huge. And now, week on week, the last couple of years, it's just kind of grown and grown and grown, and it's great to see. It's a great sport. I think it's not just netball; it's across the board with female sports. I think, if you look at the changes that have happened across all different sports. I mean, we're still nowhere near where we need to be in terms of for female sports versus male sports and our percentage coverage, and we're still, but we are, in terms of the last couple of years, made great strides. And I think it's great. Hopefully it's great for all the females coming through, that they have more role models and actually have female role models that they can aspire to be a female athlete now, and just the range of sports available to them is just great. I think there's many different types of learners out there, and I think they get the opportunity to not only learn from the coaches, but can learn from like watching players play and things like that. So a coach was saying the other day that they came to a session and were doing these skills, and they were like, "Oh, who taught you that?" They were like, "Oh, I watched so and so do it on the TV the other day." So hopefully it gives young players coming through a lot more avenues of learnings and people they can aspire to be. But also, it's been great to see so many supporters come to games and get involved that way. And actually, you can see stuff on TV, but actually seeing it live, I've found in many different sports, we can actually see the whole kind of like pitch or the court. You can actually see kind of all the off the ball stuff. And I think it's a great benefit that people are coming to watch the games. The support is kind of, netball supporters are great. They're amazing. And it's great to have them at our venues, and they help inspire us as well to keep playing.
That's really nice. Yeah, I really like that, because it kind of goes two ways as well, doesn't it? Because I mean, from a fan perspective, I always think, oh, you know, I idolize, you know, like the big England players like yourself and Helen Housby's and Jade Clark's and everyone. And, you know, especially when we first started the podcast, I think you were a bit like me, Luce. We were a bit like, oh, we get to talk to all these. Like our inner netball nerd was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. But it's nice to hear that actually the crowd as well can inspire you in reverse, and it can kind of go both ways like that. It's really fantastic. And
it's great to talk to people, after games and things like that, and they have kind of similar stories to you as well. And I think we just get the opportunity to at a higher level, but I think that it doesn't matter what level you are, they were the same kind of like core things that you get from team sport, and you might be like a club player or a league player or just go along socially. I think some of these things never change. It's just you're playing at a more elite level. I think that the core principles around why you do sport and the benefits you get from it are the same playing in a social league than they are at a Super League level. It's just the great team environment that you get, the camaraderie, the exercising with other people, having a laugh. I think you compare like a Super League training session with like a local league session. A lot of the core values and principles that are involved in team sport exist in whatever level you play. And I just I've been lucky enough to be able to play in elite level, but you enjoy it for the same reasons that, as I say, it's kind of a lot of it, it's about the people.
Yeah. And I think as well, netball's a bit addictive in that way, because I've certainly found when I first got into netball, it was like I couldn't get enough of it, you know, whatever it was, whether it was watching it or playing it. And I know a lot of people find that as well, that there's, something about the game that really just draws you in and keeps you doing it and keeps you, you know, continuing on such a long career like you have. Like, I would love to still be playing, you know, in my 40s. Like, that to me would be amazing. There was a lady in the league that I used to play in London, and she just turned 60 the last season, and she actually had been playing in the league for 40 years, which is incredible. Wow. I mean, what an amazing thing. And I think she started out as a goal defense, and then she started back at goalkeeper, and had kind of changed and evolved, you know, throughout that time. But it's an amazing achievement. And I think the power of sport, we talk about it so much on the podcast about the power of sport to change people's lives and to really make a difference. And it's really inspiring hearing you say that actually as well, Rachel.
It's a two-way, because you speak to people after the games and you hear their stories, and it's as I say, it's similar to yours. It's just you're playing it in different locations and venues.
In front of hundreds of people or thousands of people even. And when it comes to the success of elite athletes, obviously a significant portion of that success is attributed to physical ability, technical skills, fitness, etc. But there's no doubt a number of kind of off-court factors that really affect your ability to continue to perform at that high level, such as relationships with coaches and teammates, financial security, all of those sorts of things. So what are the most crucial off-court factors for you that have contributed to your success and longevity in your career?
Off-court, right. Okay. I think having a good training base has definitely helped. And as we discussed earlier, I think learning very early in my elite netball career that the body you need to look after it. I think that has been key. It probably has been key to the longevity side of things as well, that you've got to build a strong structure and pay attention to the little things as well. And me having the injuries earlier on, I know that I've got to be strong, and out from strength comes everything. And I learned that my body needed that to be able to perform. Everyone is different, and it is different kind of depending on which position you are, but actually having any solid structure, and that's something in the early days I learned the hard way from the injuries, is that I need to be strong. I need to be strong, agile, as flexible as you can be. I mean, it's not my strength, but I do. I try. And just looking after yourself as well, making sure that you are hydrated, do get enough sleep, do have the downtime as well. being in the right training environment that works for you as well. As you said, as you mentioned, like relationships with coaches and other players, and just being comfortable in that environment. Because if you're not happy in the environment, you won't perform. Making sure, kind of like off the court, you're happy as well. You've got all your ducks in place so that you can go to training relaxed and not worried about anything. The support from not only like friends and family and everyone, plus my work has been very flexible. So just managed to get kind of a good, I say in work we call it work-life balance, but it's sport-life balance, isn't it, really, when it comes to the sport thing? Or when you're working as well, it's work-life sport balance, and making sure that that it's okay for the moment, and you can kind of, like we've discussed, you can have intense periods, but it's making sure that you do give yourself a break as well. Over time, you learn what works for you, and everyone's different. You find what works and what doesn't work, and you might end up crashing a few times early on, going, right, yeah, push myself too far. Okay. But I think both physically and kind of the mental side, it's learning about you, what works for you, and getting yourself in the optimum place, and just, not forgetting the little 1%ers, that they're probably things that make the big difference.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things that I want to pick up on that you said you listed in that list was around the relationships on and off court, because you are, by anyone's standards, such a special person. And there's people like Tamsin who have championed you for years and years and always talk about how incredible you are. And actually, you're probably going to cringe at the next couple of minutes, but we've taken the liberty of reaching out to a couple of people prior to this episode for some testimonials
I knew
on you.
For the listeners, Rachel is covering her face at the moment.
So we've got 2 testimonials that we just want to read out for you. So the first one is from Catherine Merry, who was obviously one of the commentators at that very special moment in 2019. So Kath has said, to be that consistent for so long over so many seasons takes a special athlete. The dedication and commitment to the sport and the training that is required is superb. In terms of the "we want done" moment, that doesn't happen to just any player. That was amazing to witness, and a testament to the impact that Rachel has had. She should be very proud of what she's still doing alongside her successful work life. A true role model to all. But we have one more. We've also reached out to the lovely Pam Cookie. And I actually got a little bit emotional in this one. So Pam has said, Rachel is the epitome of a teammate. She's there whenever you need someone to lift you, to encourage you, to learn from, to laugh with, to challenge you, to cry with, or to do a positional switch when you're blowing. Rachel was and is fearless on the shot. She has movement skills to match and a hold like no other. She's my friend on and off the court, a staple to the netball family for years and still flying high. She just has a heart of pure gold. And to me, like, this just completely sums you up. And I think anyone who is asked about you will say very similar things. So can you talk to us a bit about any specific individuals who've played a big role in your career, why they've impacted you so greatly?
I think there's probably too many. I've been blessed to have had a lot of very good teammates over the years and coaches that have helped create some good environments. So Lynn Gunson, from a coach perspective at I don't want to miss people out because there's so many. So put me on the spot here. Everyone. So Lynn, she created an environment. I think that the legacy still lives on. If you look at the players that have come out from that, and then that have turned into coaches that are on that are across the board now, that are now coaching people, I think she definitely created a legacy in the UK, and she instilled a ethos of. She was quite relentless, actually. Her sessions were quite brutal, but in a good way, because to make it to the top, you have to kind of, what's the saying? If it was easy, everyone would do it. Yeah. So it was definitely a tough love scenario. But I kind of respond well to that sort of thing. Yeah. Say it how I see it, and I quite like that back. I quite like the honesty. And then kind of moving on from the Bath environment, I then, Tamsin. As a player and a coach, we've had a cracking relationship over the years, both on and off the court. She, both as a player relationship and then a player coach relationship. That's definitely something that was kind of it's still a very special bond. Was a very special bond. Yeah, we played together on Saturday. It was like rolling back the years. She came from the same Bath club as well, and I think when you kind of like trained together over the years, you've had those values instilled. It was quite a comfortable journey that I had with her moving to Storm and then on to Wasps as well. And that definitely, both of those netball relationships did help shape my career. Yeah, I had a long-standing attacking partnership with Pam as well, and that was definitely a very special combination that we had when we played together. That kind of like clicked and worked really well. And I could keep going on. Yeah. It's really hard to kind of pin it down to a few people because all the teams I've been involved in have been very different. I played with a lot of people for a long time as well.
Yeah.
And then as on the international, there's so many people as well that you've been around and kind of inspire you. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to play with Jade for years as well. And that's from a fellow older athlete's perspective, what she does on court, kind of like she's been on the scene internationally for a long period of time, and someone that I've kind of been honoured to play alongside and kind of inspires you for different reasons. So it's different relationships for different types of things. I could probably keep going on, but
We won't make you list everyone, don't worry.
Well, no, but if there's anyone, there's probably some key people that I've really forgotten. So I'm going to apologise now. But yeah.
It's amazing actually hearing you name some of they're just, it's like a who's who of netball really in terms of, the people that you've played alongside. And I'm sure that having all those experiences will have fueled you and made you the player that you are today, I suppose, in a way, from learning from all those, various people. But it's also not just players and coaches that I think you've had a great relationship with over the years. You've also managed to connect with thousands of fans across the globe who really love your, lovable and quirky personality, I would say, in terms of how you come across, in interviews. I think you're funny without realizing that you are, and it's really, really endearing. And it would be remiss of us not to mention, obviously, the moment in the 2019 Netball World Cup. 11,000 people chanting "We want Dunn" during that bronze medal playoff match against South Africa, and then you came on in that final sort of 57 seconds, I think it was, that you had on court.
I missed a shot, yeah.
Missed a shot, I know. I thought that was hilarious, though.
Well, you can prepare yourself for lots of things in life, but that one didn't see coming. Yeah,
it's true. And Helen didn't give you the ball as well. I thought
no, she was there. People do mention that. It's not even on the radar. Yeah. She was just in shooting mode. She was in a bronze medal playoff. Yeah.
It's true. But I
never
think
expected that ball.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and you didn't look like you were expecting it, and actually looking back at it, you do look slightly mortified about it.
That's probably uncomfortable in that scenario. Going, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, I suppose as well, it's quite a weird thing to be considered a fan favorite, or a popular player, or someone that people want to see. I mean, what do you think about being considered a fan favorite?
Well, I just don't know how it happened, really. I'm honoured to be it, and I just enjoy playing. I think I'm naturally quite chilled out, and just like people being happy and like me being happy, and I'm quite happy to chat as well. So I just I'm not sure how the whole thing happened, and I don't always feel comfortable in these sort of scenarios, but.
What do you think that is about, Rachel? With the risk of sounding like your therapist here, What do you think it is? Like I suppose it's maybe that you let your playing do the talking, I guess, and you don't want to kind of get wrapped up in too much other stuff about ego and things like that.
I just go with the flow. I just tend to go with the flow in life.
But I think it's almost like borderline funny just how humble you are, and it must be a bit of a surreal thing to be this fan favorite when you're just like, well, I'm just being me, that's just who I am.
I've been lucky to be able to do that. I enjoy sport. I ended up being quite good at sport.
I think quite good. I'm really going to push you on that, Rachel. I think quite good is probably underselling it. But no, I really like that. I love that you are so humble and selfless, because what a great example does that set to young athletes. You see these I'm going to say it, football players, and they're all about themselves. They're all kind of, the big I am and all of this stuff. And I think it's amazing that in netball, we have so many great athletes who just get on with their business. They keep their head down. They're just getting on with it and not making a show of themselves, and that is really impressive and very admirable, I think, especially as you've been part of the game when the media side of things has really come on in recent years. And for you, it's do you think it's always been about the netball?
Well, netball is like the ultimate team game, isn't it? Like, because of the way that it's set up in the positions, you can't miss people out. So I think I quite like that. And I think it's more important to win as a team or to do things as a team than anything else. It's great in that respect. And the important thing is, well, I think, the team winning, because if the team win, you get success. So therefore, you invest in your team.
I think that's one of the great things about you, though, is that you play without ego. In fact, you are actually so humble and down to earth that the day after you came home from the 2019 Netball World Cup, literally the day after, you were back in the laboratory at your regular day job as if nothing had happened. You did 5 weeks of work before you even had a post-Netball World Cup holiday. And there was actually an interview that you did with Bolton News after the World Cup, and you said, I want people to be fighting for the shooting positions. It'll make our team stronger. I haven't really had much time to process it yet, but we have lots of exciting young players coming through, and I'll see where I fit with that. So you really are the ultimate team player, and you've kind of gone from being this youngster in the Roses environment to then being a starting 7 shooter to then being probably more of an impact player later on in your career. And now you've retired internationally. So how do you kind of reflect on the evolution of your role and your purpose within the Roses setup?
I think every time I got selected, I felt lucky for each major champs, because you're always fighting for a position when it comes to internationally. You want a competitive environment for everyone to be able to perform, because then the pressure's on. So I think, when you're younger, you just want to. What was it? Someone said it's easy getting to the top; it's the hard thing staying there. Yeah. And someone said that to me early on, going, right, you've made the England setup. You've now got to stay there. And that's the challenge. So it's just, that was the kind of like the goal early on. And then it was just about kind of like learning in that environment and just taking opportunities when they come and just doing what you can. Because even having the squad of 12, the more variety you can have in that squad of 12, the stronger you are as well. So it's always thinking, right, actually, can I offer something different? How can we be the strongest squad to go and compete as well? And just, I had an opportunity of being part of a lot of really good squads, and every time it came to a major champs, it was like, right, making the most of every opportunity. I think again it stems back from the very start of my career when I got injured straight away and it was all taken away. It kind of that probably shifted my perspective from an early age, and it's just you never know when injuries can take it away from you, when you'll stop performing. So it's just whatever role you can play, if I'm happy to play that role, whether it be an impact player, a starter, goal shooter, goal attack, wherever it might be. I'm just, happy doing what I can.
And in an incredible kind of turn of events in the last couple of years for you, you were dealt a real curveball towards the end of 2022 with the announcement that Wasps Netball were going into administration and would not be competing in the Netball Super League. And it's just seemed incredibly cruel that someone of your caliber, who'd had such an amazing career, would not be able to retire on your own terms if that's what you chose to do. So can you talk us through how you felt when you thought that you possibly wouldn't get to play elite netball again?
So it happened back in October. I think what did help was over the last couple of years, I've just been taking it a year at a time. And I was at a point in my career where I was content with what I'd achieved, the opportunities I've had, that actually, when it did happen, I was like, no, okay, it wasn't meant to be. I was lucky that I would, like the Friday, it happened on the Friday when we got the final confirmation that what wasn't into administration, that any potential bid to take over wasn't successful. That was in November, and I'd booked a 2-week holiday on the Monday. So in terms of timings, I was pretty good. So I'd broken up on annual leave for 2 weeks, which I haven't had 2 weeks off for a while. I was off to Mexico. So that helped me deal with the scenario, to be perfectly honest.
I bet.
I could do all that processing time on holiday. And what also did, like, towards for the last few years, I kind of have a bit of a split season where the season ends in June, and I go into my normal life and pick up my other hobbies and things like that. So it just kind of continued, really. I just never started again. So if it had happened part of the season, I think probably a classic example is COVID, where we'd done the pre-season, we'd done the 4 games, and then bang, it stopped. That was probably a harder scenario to deal with than this one, because it just my off season just continued, really. I just carried on doing it because the day-to-day didn't change from what it had done. So that side of things was easier to cope with. But then I think it did become harder in kind of the January, February time, when all the teams were all saying about their pre-season matches, and then like the season opener, and you're like, oh, I should have been there. So that was probably, as time went on, a bit more. I did kind of do a bit of a rebelling against netball, and was like, right, no, okay, carry on with other things. And then other opportunities came out, so I decided in 2023 that I'd just go with the flow, and then I had the opportunity to do some Wes from who taking over the Central Warriors under 21s and under 19 teams and their age group things, got in contact saying, did I want to do some coaching work? I was like, great. People keep asking me about coaching during my playing career, and I'm like, I just don't have the time. Like I'm doing the athlete side and doing the playing side. I've never really thought about it. I've kind of working towards my level 2 coaching. I did that during COVID, but then the opportunity came along to coach, and I was like, you know what? Yes, I'll give it a whirl just to see if I enjoy it or not. And I've definitely, I enjoyed working with the Central Warriors under 21s and under 19 teams, and had a good time seeing netball from the different side. I got to be a manager, an assistant coach, and just kind of like help, that side of things. And I've just trying to work on other things, like trying to get better at tennis and things like that. So I've just used the opportunity off the court to do that, thinking it just wasn't meant to be. Let's just crack on. Then I had the phone call about going to play for Celtic Dragon.
And when you got that call from Danny to come back and obviously play, so you replaced the injured Chelsea Beard at Dragons, did you hesitate, or was it an easy decision?
No, both. I hadn't really played for 9 months. So the season ended. I decided that I would do other things because Super League wasn't going to happen. And then it was like, oh, okay, I haven't played for 9 months. It's a good idea going back into Super League and into the kind of environment. But then I had to think about it, and I was like, yeah, actually the opportunity to play in Super League again. And then I went along to a training session to meet the team, and really friendly environment. They've had a bad run of luck of injuries and things like that, and thought, oh, actually it's probably meant to be. And then actually had to look at practically would it work or not, because I'd had things in place for the WASP season from a work perspective. I'd just gone back to normal working hours. I then had the fact, right, actually, what's the schedule going to look like? And I have to travel to Wales to train as well and travel to play. Could I actually practically make it work? So then I had like 24 hours of actually getting an Excel schedule out there, planning all my timings, going into work the next day, and my boss was about to go on annual leave, so I had to do it within the space of like an afternoon and go, right, okay, this opportunity has come about. I've put together a draft schedule. Would you support me to do this? They could support it. So then, rest is history. Back now playing, having not played in 9 months, and now done 5 games in the space of 2 weeks.
Which we are delighted about, by the way. Honestly, as soon as the announcement came out that you would play for Dragons, like my jaw dropped to the floor, and I'm sure there were thousands of fans who are exactly the same as I were, who were absolutely delighted at the news. After this season at Dragons, who knows what 2024 will have to offer. One thing we've learned from you today is that you just go with the flow and you'll just take each day as it comes. But when you do decide to eventually retire from netball, whether that's next year or further down the line, what would you like your legacy in netball to be? Big question.
Big question. I think that you need to go out there and enjoy it. Age is just a number. Yeah. There were many people playing netball in their 40s across the board. Yeah,
that's true.
And be you as well, I think, probably a legacy. Yeah. Enjoy it and kind of like be you. I think acknowledge what your strengths are and play to them. Work on your weaknesses, but actually play to your strengths and play to other people's strengths as well, because that's how you get the best team thing. So sometimes people try and mold people into the play they want them to be, but they're never going to be that. You are you're an individual. Yeah, play to your own strengths and enjoy what you're doing. You never know you never know what's around the corner. I don't think I ever planned on playing at this age, but I never thought my body would last this long. But I've been and I just feel lucky that I can still play at this age.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, we are really looking forward to seeing how you go in the rest of the Netball Super League season. It's great to have you back on our screens, and bringing your absolute personality and everything to the game is really good to watch. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been great to chat to you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Qtr Time. We can't wait to bring you even more netball chat and another super special guest next week.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media at Qtr Time Pod for the latest netball updates. Get involved in the conversation online by letting us know what you thought of the matches this weekend and which players have stood out for you.
We'd also really appreciate it if you could just take a moment to rate and review, as it helps other people to find the podcast. If you enjoy listening to the pod, do let us know and spread the word with your netball pals so that even more people can get involved. And finally, don't forget as well to take advantage of our exclusive discount with Lovell Netball by entering the code NETPOD15 at the checkout at lovellnetball.co.uk. Take care, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.